Hey there, Sharon Horne-Ellstrom. Welcome to day 122 of our Be a Better You annual challenge. Today we are continuing our foray and our deep dive into the financial area and aspect of our life. Yesterday we defined what what financial health and well-being looked like and felt like, etc. to us. We came up with our own definition of it, and we're going to use that today as we deep dive into a process to identify our financial core values. Why? Because our core values, when we understand what they are, they provide us with the 3 C's, and I will share them here. Number 1, they provide us with clarity. They allow us to set goals that make sense for us, that are in alignment with who we really are and the things that are most important to us. They provide confidence in that we know that our decisions and the choices we are making are for and in our best interest. And finally, they provide cohesion in terms of consistency and alignment, and they make sense with the other areas and aspects of our life, but they help to make sure that we're moving toward what it is that we truly want in our finances and in the other areas of our life that our financial health and well-being supports. And so I'm going to share a 4-step process for how we can go about identifying what our core values are. And I'll give an example of a couple of people and how they, maybe not how they identify their core values, but what they are, who they are and what they are. Just a quick example so you can say, okay, well, that's sort of like me, and maybe I'll go down that route too. So what's the 4-step process for identifying what our core values are? Number 1, reflect on past financial decisions. What have you done in the past, both that's worked out really well for you, and what have you done that maybe didn't work out well for you? Look for patterns in that, in terms of what financial choices made you feel proud, what financial choices made you feel icky or embarrassed, even if they were successful. If you got the result you wanted, but you didn't feel good about the process, think about that. Which ones left you feeling regretful? Which ones left you feeling grateful? Which patterns do you see when you look at your past that you may want to take with you into the future, and some that maybe you don't want to take with you into the future? For example, I'll give you a quick personal example. I used to make all my financial decisions based on my head, based on the numbers, based on what my intellect told me or what I thought was the right thing to do. And I found that as I analyzed the patterns and I reflected on it, every time I only made a decision based on what I thought about it and the subjective elements and the numbers, if I didn't check in with how did I feel about it, was it in alignment with who I am, and check in with my intuition, those are the times when I made financial errors and mistakes, because I wasn't considering all of me. I was only considering a portion of and a part of who I really am. That's where that cohesion and clarity and confidence comes into play. Step 2. So first, reflect on the past. Look for your own patterns and things. 2, define what money really means to you. And we pretty much did this yesterday, but what I want you to do is quickly take and ask yourself, grab a piece of paper and ask yourself the 5 first things. When you say money means blank to me, what are the first 5 words that pop into your head? Just write those down. And add that to your thoughts pattern from yesterday. 3, list and rank possible core values. I'm going to recommend that you find a list of predefined core values, especially with respect to finances, because it's like rewriting or writing something. It's always easier to rewrite a rough draft of something. That's why AI is so popular, than it is to start with a blank sheet of paper. So instead of just having to have a blank sheet of paper and come up with what your core values are for financial area and aspect of your life, go online, Google a list and say financial core values, and you'll get a whole bunch of other people's lists of their financial core values. For example, I've got a list here: security, freedom, legacy, generosity, growth, status, simplicity, and responsibility. Now, there are, of course, hundreds, if not thousands, of possible core values you can choose from, and how you define each of those things is unique to you. But this is just a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 that I can start working off of. Does security, is that important to me? Is that one of my core values? Yes or no? Freedom, is that, in terms of freedom and lifestyle choices, that's a biggie for me. I want to be able to do what I want, when I want, where I want, wearing what I want, with whomever I want. So start with a predefined list, and then pick 10 that resonate with you. Go through one of these lists of like 100, pick the 10 that you can relate to and that for some reason speak to you, and then narrow that down to 3. Why do I say 3? Because we've got 9 different areas and aspects of our life. And if we have 3 totally different core values in each of those, it's 27 different core values we're working off of, which is a little complicated. And one of the things I value the older I get is simplicity and keeping things simple. So I'm going to try to just pick 3 for each group. If I have 10 for each group, I'm now looking at 90 core values. That's too many to navigate. And maybe you can do it, but I know I can't. So I'm going to break things down, even though there's no such thing as can't. And then step 4, align your budget and goals with your values, with these core values. And we'll do that going forward this month as we talk about different financial related topics. But that's the 4th step of the process. So let's look at a couple of people's examples and how they applied this and use it to identify their core values. First, we've got Rachel. She's a single mom, and she is prioritizing stability and security because she went through a really bad divorce, which wrecked her and caused chaos financially for her and her children. And she recognized that her spending habits had been emotionally driven in her bad relationship and that she needed to really start getting a handle on it. So she started journaling, keeping track of what she was doing, what she was spending money on, why she was spending it. She got a financial coach who helped her to set up and structure things so that security and stability were her core values, and she was honoring them as she raised her children. She made a lot better financial decisions. And then I'm going to share Marcus's story for Supersize Your Business. So let's look at Angelica's story. She's a philanthropist who values legacy and generosity as core values. And so she's going to make different financial decisions than Rachel's going to. Absolutely positive. And then I would, right? Because although legacy is now one of my core values, I think, it hadn't been in the past. And keep in mind that our core values, what's most important to us, remains the same, but what we act upon and reflect upon changes over time. When I was raising my kids, security and safety and things was a lot higher on my core values list, and stability than it is now. For example, simplification was definitely not on my list of core values in any area or aspect of my life. I lived in utter and complete chaos. It should have been, but it definitely wasn't. So we're going to come up with a list of 10 core financial values that are important to us. We're going to pick 3 of those. I would invite you to share your 3 in the comments below. It's not really a very risky thing to do or scary thing to do. So if you're willing to do that, just go ahead and share your 3. I'll share mine. I'm going to go through this exercise again using these 4 steps. Because every time we talk about core values, I try to come up with a slightly different process that we use, because one will work out better for you than the others. And so if we try it in 9 different ways throughout the course of this challenge, guess what? There's bound to be one way that works really, really well for you and for me too. So that's why I like to try out and test out the different tools too. All right, that's it. Any questions? Hit me up and ask. Again, if you've been with me in previous challenges, we do this every single month for each area and aspect of our life. I think financial last year was June or July, and the year before it was June or July. I don't remember. So if you wanted, you could go back and you could look at the core values through previous challenges, or you could ask me and I could get those links. Anyway, I'm here if you have any questions. Have an awesome day, and I'll of course be with you tomorrow, and we're going to dive in even more deeply into what makes us tick financially. Have a great day, and I'll of course be with you tomorrow.